Well, I don't really know what it says about the Browns. It says my guy Jadeveon is really choosy about where he wants to play football. Last year, the Texans tried to trade him to Miami. And he's like, nah, bro, I'm not going. Not doing it. Trade me somewhere else. Don't want to do it. So they trade him to Seattle. And now the Browns. So I would have said, well, he doesn't want to play in cold weather Cleveland. But he didn't want to play in warm weather Miami. Maybe now that the Dolphins have Tua, they showed some real heart last year. They won 5 of their last 9 games, and they had showed interest in him last year. He's hoping that they would still want him. Maybe he's hoping that the Browns are going to up the ante. I don't totally understand what's happening here with Clowney, who one would imagine would be a little concerned that the music's going to stop and he's not going to have a chair, but instead he's out here turning down huge money deals. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little vexed by this story, Wilds.
A little vexed. I'm a little bit confused by what the Browns are doing. The Browns have $37 million in cap space. It's like supermarket sweep. They're like, hey, we need to spend this, guys. We've got some time. They've got the most in the NFL. So, Greg, I think there's going to be some more big additions heading into Cleveland if they want to play there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what Jadeveon Clowney is doing. I'm not sure what it is, but he obviously, as Nick, you alluded to, he has specific destinations that he wants to go, and Cleveland is not on that list. And so I'll be interested to see who steps up to offer even as much as what Cleveland did, bearing the lack of access they have to players. But Jadeveon Clowney, you hit it right on the head. His time is kind of running short. He's going to have to make a decision soon.
All right, moving on to the 4th and 15 onside kick alternative. The NFL's made some changes to the proposal, with teams only being allowed to utilize the 4th and 15 in regulation, and with it being an untimed play. You know, when we brought this up in the morning meeting, Nick, you brought up a really good point. What do you think about these changes?
Yeah, so yesterday on the show, and I don't want to seem like a guy who can never be happy about things, because yesterday on the show I suggested specifically that if the team who is ahead attempts this, it should be an untimed down. The NFL then announced the whole thing's going to be an untimed down, and there's a little bit of a Goldilocks situation. This one's too hot, this one's too cold. Where's the one that's just right? It absolutely should not be an untimed down if it's the team that's trailing. It's not only an untimed down, the clock will not start until the next play. And so you could have a situation where you're down 10 points with 12 seconds left and really be fine. Where you score a touchdown, now there's 9 seconds left. You have no timeouts. You have an untimed play. You can use the entirety of the field so the defense can't just guard the sidelines. You complete a 35-yard play. If your receiver get down, you can kick a field goal, but the clock stops. So I think it should be regular clock if the team is trailing when they do it, untimed down if the team is ahead when they do it, to avoid some chicanery. To me, this is obvious, and I hope the NFL makes another tweak to it, Wilds.
I do like this idea, and I like the concept that Nick has. That was my number one concern. It should be a time down for the team that's trailing because of what we just saw. But for the game of sport, for the fans, it creates this interest, this intrigue of let me stay to the very waning moments of the game because anything can still happen. My offense will still have a shot. So this is why I like it, and I think the league should go through with it.
All right, let's talk about our friends over at Fox Bet. They have Bill Belichick as the favorite to win Coach of the Year, and behind him, Mike McCarthy and Bruce Arians tied for second. Greg, back to you. You surprised Belichick was favored to win Coach of the Year with the team he's got this year?
Absolutely not. This is who he is. This is what he does. He does his job, and he does it better than anyone we've ever seen do it. And so just because he loses Tom Brady, no slight to Tom Brady because he is an all-time great player, one of the greatest to ever play, specifically at that position. But he is of the mindset that it doesn't matter who I have on my roster. If I have guys that are healthy and they can play, they're going to fit my scheme. I'm going to put the best 22 guys on the field, and we will have a chance every single week.
Nick, this is insane. And I'll take a page out of your book, although I'll talk about Jordan too. We know he's the Coach of the Year every year. We know it. It's just kind of like LeBron's MVP every year, and Jordan should be MVP every year. No, Karl Malone should not be getting the MVP. Charles Barkley did a great year, but you know he wasn't the best player. Belichick is the coach of the year every year, and everybody knows it. People get bored and vote another way, but we know he's the coach of the year every year, Nick.
So I think that's like the Popovich in the NBA. We know that he's the best coach who's going to win the award. Belichick is traditionally been in a tough spot to win this award because it usually goes to whichever coach had his team overachieve the most, which means Fox bettors out there, Matt Nagy. I don't know if you've heard, but I've got the Bears going 12-4, America. If they come anywhere close to that, he's winning Coach of the Year. So that's where my money would be on. I think Arians would be a bad bet because if the Bucs are great, Brady's going to get all the credit. I also think there is maybe a small window for John Gruden if the Raiders make the playoffs, but I think that Matt Nagy is where I would put my money, Jenna Wolfe.
All right, moving on to some golf. Since last week's match, just about everyone has an idea for the next great foursome, including the guy who starred in last week's great foursome, Phil Mickelson. So Phil threw out some awesome names like Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, Patrick Mahomes, Larry David.
Oh, boy.
Greg, who do you want to see?
I like what Phil Mickelson said with the Steph Curry and Michael Jordan and Pat Mahomes and these guys, because they're current athletes and older athletes that we know were great and know who love the game of golf and can actually play and be entertaining, and they would talk. We know Michael Jordan would give us everything that we want to hear, and I think that's the element that would pull the fans in. Viewerships would go up. The talking piece, which is typically never done in golf, it would be allowed, and we would draw interest in that.
Jenna, could you imagine the Monday morning after Michael Jordan beats Patrick Mahomes, what we would have to deal with Nick Wright stumbling into the office? It would be Armageddon.
Listen, we all know what the matchup should be. We might have to wait 10, 11 months for it. But Steph Curry and former President Barack Obama, they're buddies. Your guy Tom Brady and current President Donald Trump, they're buddies. There's some actual dislike between the two. That would be, you shake your head. That's a ratings bonanza, Wilds.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.